Okay, today we're going to be doing, we're still on Atomic Habits and we're doing the second law. And I feel like chapter 8, which begins the second law, is all about how to make a habit irresistible. And I feel like I kind of ruined it for you guys because that chapter is what I've been saying all along. Like when I tell um, one of you, hey, you should, if you want to watch a show and you need to walk on the treadmill and watch your show. Well, that's what he teaches you in this chapter. And I just jumped ahead because I have gone through this book so many times that to me, I think that's one of the most critical things. Like if there's something you're not excited about, then add something good to it or
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I thought it was fascinating. Um, Gene, about again, I'm on my iPad, but I bet it would only be 2 pages in because it's only maybe 10 paragraphs in, but it starts with a primary goal of food science. Do you see that? Primary goal of food science is to create products that are more attractive to consumers. And then the paragraph after that starts other processed foods.
Right.
You see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought that it was really fascinating how he shares. I'll just share some of that here for anybody that hasn't read the book. But a primary goal of food science is to create products that are more attractive to consumers. Nearly every food in a bag, box, or jar has been enhanced in some way, if only with additional flavoring. Companies spend millions of dollars to discover the most satisfying level of crunch in a potato chip or the perfect amount of fizz in a soda. Entire departments are dedicated to optimizing how a product feels in your mouth, the quality known as aura sensation. French fries, for example, are a potent combination, golden brown and crunchy on the outside, light and smooth on the inside. And I don't remember, I know I shared this with you guys. Whenever I learned it, but I remember being blown away when I learned that the McDonald's French fry has 19 ingredients. I was like, and that's right here. It's
Mm-hmm.
all the
Wow.
different seasonings they put on it are designed to make you keep craving them and to keep eating,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I always get a large McDonald's French fry. I don't need a large anything. Like I'm I don't know, but there's a lot of calories in the huge, large serving of
Yes,
McDonald's
there
French fries.
is.
And I eat them way past being full,
I understand.
right? And it's fascinating to me that it's not an accident. I guess nothing's an accident in big business, but the fact that they have worked on so much science behind it to make us keep craving it and keep wanting it. And it talks about with natural unprocessed foods, this is kind of in the middle of the next paragraph underneath Oreo cookie. With
Right.
natural unprocessed foods, you tend to experience the same sensation over and over. How's that 17th bite of kale taste? After a few minutes, your brain loses interest and you begin to feel full. Okay, I specifically, when I go to lunch with people, and my friends know this, like every so often I'll order a salad like with grilled chicken on it. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to be healthy today. But they know I hate salads. And it's not because I hate the taste of salad. It is that I feel hungry a few hours later. And I'm like, why waste time paying for food? But I bet it's this. I don't eat as much of it because I'm like, it's lettuce, it's grilled chicken, with nothing
Right.
on it. So I likely don't eat as much. I don't
Right.
have as many calories for sure. Like the comparison
Right.
between a full salad with grilled chicken compared to a large McDonald's French fry, right?
Right.
And so it totally makes sense that I'm hungry 3 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that never occurred to me before, in my mind, I was just like, it's just not enough food. It's just salad. It's not enough food. But it probably, not probably, it is 1,000,000% better for me than all of the other things
Right.
that I order. But it's fascinating that they've been able to work on all of this stuff so that our brain, the result of course is that you overeat because hyperpalatable foods are more attractive to the human brain. And it's because we've gotten too good at pushing our own buttons. So that kind of like push the button, the rats research where you push the button and they get a snack, push a button, get a snack,
Right.
like,
Now, you do know that MSG makes you hungry.
does it?
Yes, and most of the places have MSG. Chick-fil-A even has MSG. And in the middle of the afternoon or whenever, you've had a meal, all of a sudden you feel pushed that you've got to eat something else. And I am more than convinced it's the MSG that keeps kicking in.
I'll bet you're right because I do anytime, whether it's because we're traveling or whatever, or out all day, if I go through a drive-through and get fast food, I feel like I eat so much more the rest of the day.
Mhm.
And typically not healthy things.
No, but it keeps you going back to the fast food place.
Yes, it does. I used to, before Plexus, I went to McDonald's every day. It was right down the street every single day. I
Wow.
craved it so bad,
Mhm.
and I think many of us are creatures of habits. It's so easy to eat the same lunch
Mhm.
every day, right? But now I
Yes,
eat
yes.
a toasted piece of keto bread with pimento cheese on it. Still not the healthiest lunch, but way better
Oh,
than
yeah.
a fish fillet with a large French
Oh,
fry,
absolutely.
right? I'm like, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Sure, it's better. It's a big step. Each meal is better.
Yeah. So going a little farther, right before the part, Jeannie, where it talks about the dopamine driven feedback loop. The paragraph right above that. And he says, throughout our discussion of the second law, our goal is to learn how to make our habits irresistible. While it's not possible to transform every habit into a supernormal stimulus, we can make any habit more enticing. To do this, we must start by understanding what a craving is and how it works. So, he talks about um, habits are a dopamine driven feedback loop. Did you see that part where they removed the dopamine from the rats? And so
Yes,
some of them stopped eating completely, but then they did the one test where they put just like sugar water on the droplets and gave it to them and they smiled, but they didn't keep craving it, because the dopamine that's
right.
crazy.
That's amazing. That I was not aware of what the dopamine did in that.
Yeah.
And I got that underlined.
And I
That's
think, is it dopamine? Isn't it one of the things that comes from our gut? I'm
yeah, I
skewing
was just
back to
getting ready
plexus,
to
but
say,
wouldn't it work healthier and have more? Because I'm just thinking of like people who have kind of lost all hope, who don't
mhm,
feel, who are
right,
like major depression, that kind of thing. They
right,
probably are not having those dopamine surges, and would gut health help?
right. That crossed my mind about that, and I'm sure.
I'm
And then
sure we could probably
the
do
other,
a whole another call on researching on going over the research that's already done, because I bet that it plays a huge role in.
yes, and the serotonin mixed in with it
Absolutely.
makes a huge, well, it makes a huge circle.
Hmm.
It's kind of like you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
And all that's all created in the gut.
Everything is so connected. God was not messing around.
No, he wasn't. He's always on purpose and
He,
always a God of order.
he was just not messing around with us. Um, so they have the graph about the different dopamine spikes. Um, but the main point of this whole next section is really in discussing that we often get, I've heard a lot about the dopamine hit when our phone buzzes, like a text message is coming in. Like before we've even read the text message, it buzzes and we're like, it's like a dopamine hit. And that's the cue, right? The buzzing of it is the cue.
Right.
And we have the response of reading the text message. And then the reward sometimes could be good and sometimes could be bad, right? Like if the text message is not, like if it's somebody's in danger, it's not good, right? Or if it's like America's Publishers Clearinghouse, is that still a thing? You've just won $100,000. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm taking extremes, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And so, but the huge hit every single time that's up is the cue. So it's it's the ding on the phone. It's the,
Right.
I think I do get more excited when I open my freezer and there's ice cream and I see it than when I actually finish the quart of ice cream. Like,
absolutely. Yes. There's hope.
yes.
There's more.
Oh my goodness. So then he talks about how to use temptation bundling to make our habits more attractive. So we've talked about in the past, like if your husband hates to watch reality, Real Housewives, and you love to watch Real Housewives, then watch Real Housewives when you're on the treadmill, or, finding a place to do it while you have to work on something else. I mean,
right.
And I've shared before because people always are like, how do you read so many books every month when you're doing everything else? And it's because anytime I'm doing mindless tasks like loading the dishwasher, tidying up, folding laundry, I have an audiobook or a podcast going in my headphones 100% all the time. My TV is rarely on, but I always have, even though lots of my books are fiction, I always do like historical fiction. I think I've learned more from historical fiction books I've read as an adult than I ever learned in history class.
I'm sure you did.
But regardless, I'm always, when I'm driving, yesterday I saw a post by Emily Gibson or 2 days ago, and it was about something growing her Instagram. So I started listening to it in the car. Then I was going to the grocery store. I kept my headphones in and kept listening to it. So I had finished her podcast and learned everything she wanted to teach me for that day without disrupting anything. And when I say anything, I mean I didn't stop working.
Right.
I didn't produce, I didn't not produce. I didn't ignore Andrew so that I could, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of the bundling. That's how bundling can work. And so it's kind of deciding what's really, the habit stacking and temptation bundling formula is: one, after I blank, which is a current habit you have, I will blank, which is a habit I need. And after I do the habit I need, I will get the habit I want. So this could be after let's see. So I'm trying to think. I make Andrew lunch every day, right? He's homeschooled. He's here every day. I'm just trying to like put this into like ways we can think, right? So after I make Andrew lunch, because I'm keeping in mind, I always have a good 45-minute window because I let him eat, relax, whatever. We don't ever dig right back into school. So it's kind of a 45-minute to an hour window. So what if I did, after I make Andrew lunch, I will send 10 messages. After I send 10 messages, I will start to grow my team.
Cool.
See how that
Those
works?
are good thoughts. Sure, those are good thoughts.
I'm just kind of trying to put it in the way that would help us, Gina, for business. Like, how could we think of it in?
Right. I've never thought of that. That's a good thought.
perspective. You know, what's something that you do every day? Like I could also say every time I load the dishwasher, but that's the last thing I do at night before I go to bed. Like I do it throughout the day, but I finish it, tidy the kitchen,
Right.
start it right before I go to bed. So I am not going to work then. But that midday lunch, that kind of makes sense. If I was like,
It does.
make Andrew's lunch, send 10 messages. And then it becomes a thing,
Yes.
right? Like my dogs know when they see me put my phone in my leggings pocket, put my headphones in, they already are standing at the door waiting for me to take them on a walk.
That's Pavlov's dog. They
It
know
is
exactly what's going on.
1 gazillion%. And if instead I'm actually folding laundry, they just stand and stare at me like, you're
What
messing
is
up here,
this?
lady. We're ready to go pee. We want a treat. So what's something you do every day? Probably without thinking. Yours could be like eating lunch. I don't know. What's something you do every day?
Well, when I first get up in the morning, I do my teeth and take some of my supplements, make the coffee, and then I sit down and I do some of my quiet time because it's dark. I like the mornings and I turn on my lamp, and it's a real good incentive time to get on with the program. And if I don't, the rest of the day, I don't have that concentration the rest of the day with all the lights as
Mhm.
I do just in my little corner.
I love that. I love that. So that kind of is what there are books written on that perfect morning that you're doing by yourself. So consider that a huge win. Write the book, but that's a part of like the $1,000,000 morning of getting
Wow.
up, and doing that. So that's a huge win. What does your afternoon look like?
I have to be honest, my afternoon kind of falls apart. I would say within this past week, it's been a huge learning changer because my mind has changed. That I'm back in my right mind and I have my right mind. And that has been my confession since last week. And it made a huge difference in my life. Whether I was oppressed, whether, it's been a long time coming, but I've got that revelation. I've been reading some really, really good books. And so my mind has changed. So I'm not falling apart so much in the afternoon.
I love that.
It's more focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned so much this week on the business. And that's been huge because I haven't really put that puzzle together all these years. For me to say it all together, no.
Yeah.
But I'm beginning to, I didn't know I was in the victimhood, but evidently I had thought over here victimhood. And so I, begun to think, I don't know what I've got to take responsibility for, but and accountability, but I've at least got that vocabulary.
Mhm.
So that's where I am. And I sent you that thing yesterday. And after I sent you that thing, it just came to my mind. I don't want to get out of plexus. If for nothing else, it's changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've really learned a lot. And I guess I just got in my mind, if they don't like what I'm sending, I'm not going to quit because the training that I get every day and the focus will keep me in. So I just send out a bunch of messages. I decided after I sent you that long thing, it's pretty long without what I put in front of it. I thought, I ain't going to put nothing. I'm just going to put the message out there.
Yeah.
And if it goes, it doesn't go. And I had 4 people that responded to it.
How about
So,
that?
when you really don't care, when you don't have, I've always tried to figure the outcome. You can't do that. And if there is no outcome, it's okay.
Such human nature to try to predict what's going to happen. You're trying to predict Y when you do X before you ever do X.
Right. And you don't do that, and that's okay.
And well, my husband does it. He is, he's trying to be like 3 years ahead of whatever's happening.
Oh,
And I'm like, Lord,
oh, goodness. How do you do that?
that you don't. It just covers you in anxiety. Like, well, what if this happened? And what if this happened? And I'm like, or what if it doesn't? I don't know.
Right. What if it doesn't, sweetheart? What if you fly?
Well, and I think there's a difference too and I know that you firmly have this, and I don't know if you have attached it to your business yet, but that is the full faith that Heavenly Father will have it work out exactly the way it's supposed to work out, but you have to do the work, right?
Right.
Like, even if it is like, I'm blind. Okay, well, walk over there to the river, rub mud in your eyes, and then come back. Okay, he could have just as easily gone, poof, you can see.
Right.
But instead, he over and over and over in the scriptures causes people to go do something and then come back.
Right.
He cannot, I just fully believe he does not bless people who don't put in any effort.
No, he can't.
And so I apply that to my business every day. Like, I cannot grow. And even though every day, dear Heavenly Father, I've actually increased and changed my prayers since Mexico over my team. And I just really firmly believe like 2024 is going to be my year. Kind of like I've never believed it this big before. And I
Right.
really, really do. And I am praying every day, dear Heavenly Father, if you want me to be a diamond, please help me to have the health and strength and energy I need to do it. Dear Heavenly Father, please bring me the business builders I need to grow my income. But the business builder is not going to be my UPS man that knocks on my door, right? So I then in turn have to send as lots of messages and talk to as many people as possible so that God can bless some of those to be business builders.
Right. He does
Right.
not move a block of concrete.
And so I think you also have a firm faith like that. And I don't know if you have ever, you maybe have, or maybe you haven't used that in your business.
That's the connection that I'm really working
But
on because I haven't.
there's so many scriptures about abundance and about growth and about God really wanting to bless you and your actions. He does not, yes, we suffer. Yes, we have hard times. Yes, there are traumas, but also he created man that man may have joy. And if, you know, helping others feel better, growing a business, growing a network, growing in your leadership skills so that you can influence, like, what a beautiful, there's a sapphire, and she's in her 70s, and I met her 2 years ago in Hawaii and then saw her again this year in Mexico, and they call her grandma so and so. I can't think of her name right now, but it's so beautiful to watch her inspire people as old, as being older and being like, yeah, you can do this. Yeah, you can grow. Like, I'm teaching my old friends, like, they don't have to just sit around and make quilts all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can use the business in your demographic to really, he talks about, I think it's the next chapter, he talks about the role of family and friends in shaping your habits. And There's the things that I think we've all witnessed. Like, do you ever notice when you see one obese person, most of their friends are obese,
Yes,
right?
yes.
My brother is obese and all of his friends are obese, and his wife was, but she had surgery and has lost 100 pounds and kept it off for like 4 years now. So she's one of the ones that's like
Wow.
killing it. Because another one of their friends, another one of the wives, she had the surgery and within a year had gained everything back. Like, so they all are really large humans. My sister-in-law is the only one who is like, okay, I'm done. Um, but it's just the thing, like people tend to hang out with people like them, or they tend to change with the people like them, right? So,
Tell them what you look at.
yeah, if you have a group of friends and you start to kind of rise and grow your business and this and that, the chances of them kind of coming in and being like, what are you doing? That looks fun.
Right,
It's a real dynamic. It's a real
it
thing.
is.
I loved he shared about the I forget the exact name of it, but in my mind I'm calling it like the nerd gym, where like computer geeks um who are not tip comfortable in gyms, right? Because they sit at their computer all day. They're not overly healthy, or I gotta find it. But when somebody opens a gym that is for nerds, and everybody that goes to the gym is just as excited about Star Wars or some computer game, and they're talking about that while also working out, they now,
Right,
like, that's their tribe. So their whole nerdy tribe now goes to the gym together and can get healthy, right? But if you just take one nerd who thinks he has nothing in common with all the meatheads at the gym, like, and I'm
right.
totally saying stereotypical right
I
now,
totally understand.
they're not going to keep
Understand.
going,
Mm-mm.
right? And so it takes two or more. And they said even if like decision making, even if it's two people and one has this certain opinion and this one tries to get them to change their mind or have a different opinion, it's like a 50-50 whether or not they will switch their mind. But if there's five of them and this is the only one that has this opinion, even if, because they did the experiment with actors, and four of them are like, no, it's this one will almost always change his mind, be convinced he's wrong.
Right.
And
The
so,
power of influence.
yeah. And so thinking of having that kind of influence and maybe adding that into your prayers, because you may have some friends, I don't know, but I watch some of my mom's friends who slowly are doing less and less, who are
Oh,
less
yeah, I don't
healthy, less.
associate with those people. I can't even,
It's
we
going to
don't
drive you bananas.
associate.
I know my mom is like, why are they all acting 70? Like, but like, come on, let's go do this. Let's go out on the boat. My mom is like all over
Right.
the place and she moves a lot slower, but she is still
She's
showing up
moving.
everywhere. Right.
Yeah,
And so she continues to have younger friends because she's like, all my friends are getting old. And I'm like,
they're getting old in their minds.
yes, yes. And so I feel like what a beautiful influence you could be on people of an older generation, of like, it doesn't have to be like that. I don't
Right.
know if you've ever thought about posting in that kind of manner of like, you don't, it's a choice. We've all read the quote, like aging, aging occurs or whatever, but getting old is a choice. You know what I'm talking about? Like you choose
Right. I
whether or
haven't
not,
done that, but I will.
but wouldn't that be something kind of a neat platform for you to share from? And what will happen is some of the people who follow you will be like, she thinks she's better than everybody else because she feels good or whatever. There's always those
Right.
people. But what also happens is the people who are attracted to you who are like, I'm gonna be running around with my grandkids again. I want to feel better. I want to go out and lunch with friends, because I think loneliness is a big factor for some people.
Oh, it's huge.
And we've always talked about how one of the best thing, I think Plexus is so attractive to stay-at-home moms, is the community, because they still get to stay at home, but then they have interaction,
Yes, they
right?
do. They
And they're
do. It's
forced,
huge.
if they want to grow their business, they're forced to talk to other people. But I feel like for you, it's different. It's not a stay-at-home mom thing. It is
Get out and do things.
it's a community, growing a community of people that want to lunch, who want to keep learning and grow their mind. Because
Well, I'm going to start posting on that.
because you do that all already, but I don't know that you share that
No, I don't.
and invite other people to do that with you, because those are your people. What do you
Okay,
think?
I don't like to do a lot of talking, but I've talked a lot today. When I first joined, this is not a rabbit trail. This is going to get back to what we're talking about. When I first joined Plexus, my daughter-in-law was the one that got me in. Okay. The lady that got her in had been after her for a long time, and she just refused, but she saw a picture of her and thought, oh my goodness, she went from looking like she was 80 to her normal age. Okay, so when I joined for friendship. But the biggest thing, I don't say this in a bragging way, I want you to just understand. My biggest deal is, and I've always liked it and I still do, my biggest joy is being able to speak into the lives of others. But I just keep asking, I said, Lord, how I have not been able to. That hasn't happened in Plexus yet. I got to change that verbiage. But how can I do that? And how can it bring others to the health and happiness that they're seeking? I know there's a connection. I haven't crossed that bridge yet. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
I think that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Thing.
I think that's exactly what I'm talking about. And we don't, you already understand how Plexus works and all the benefits, but there are many people who don't. Like my parents are never without theirs, especially nerve and ease, right? With all their different aches and pains and just having nerve and ease. I mean, they take everything, but is a game changer in their ability to chase the grandkids. Like when my mom watches my nieces and nephews for like 2 days in a row, she's like, had to take extra E's, right? Yeah. Yes. Yes. My brother and sister-in-law are like, they watched Isaac all the time. And I'm like, when Isaac was born, my oldest, my mom was 40 and my stepdad was 35. I'm like, they were like the age of parents. They are now old. So chasing your 3-year-old at 70 is way different than chasing my 1-year-old at 40.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's just kind of a conflict we have in our family that's not ever going to go away until the kids are old enough to not need to be chased and picked up and carried and home. But nerve and ease is a game changer for them. Like the pink drink is huge for them. Like Mega X for their brain. And I think you have a huge ability to share. Yeah, there's not one of your contacts that hasn't gone to the doctor in the last 10 years and their doctor said you need an omega, you need a multivitamin. Some doctors still don't have a clue about probiotics, but they all know about taking an omega, and our Mega X is 400 million times better than fish oil. And they're probably going to buying a fish oil off the supermarket, buy one, get one free. Right? And because that's what I did. That's what I did. And a multivitamin. Right? And they're anti-inflammatory. And most of them are probably taking a prescription anti-inflammatory. right? And so
Right.
if you used those things as your platform of really changing their quality of life, and and here are the things that you can do when you feel better.
Right.
You fly out to watch a balloon festival. You travel over here to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Just
it
put it
is,
into words.
yes. Yes, because it's, and create your tribe. And I would say commit, because again, you know, your tribe will grow, because even if you just have one or two people who come in and are like, they know one or two people, right? Like they're going to have one or two
Right.
friends who are going to be like, you seem awfully spry today. You seem to have a lot more energy while we're playing bridge. And they're like, you
Right.
should try this stuff, right? So it might be a slow grow, but I think it
Right.
would be creating a tribe that you love and being able to, maybe you start speaking and sharing inspiration and from your heart on Facebook Lives about, like, pick a product a day or a product a week to go live about and then share information about.
Huh.
Have you thought about that?
I go live, but
Yeah.
I haven't done it that way.
Like you could, let's say Mega X is next week. So kind of gather some information, share what you love about it, or share a testimony, or, share my testimony of just how it's helped somebody. And, if you're taking a fish oil, why don't you, would you, let's swap this out for 60 days and see if you notice a difference. My family noticed a difference in my memory in 30 days when I switched.
Wow.
And then kind of throughout the week, one day there's a picture of you like holding it and is like taking my brain and heart, you know, power
Right.
charged, whatever. And then one day maybe you're sharing like science behind how the plant based omega is so much better than the fish based omega, right? Because people don't know why ours is better. They just think fish oil. So if you could
Right.
kind of,
So many ideas. Goodness.
well, I just think that you're not doing anything wrong. I think it's expanding on things that you're doing. And just by using this book, the habits of it,
Right.
if you create a habit of sharing a product a week, that's 29 weeks of content, and like take your calendar and write the different products you want to share each week. Um,
Thank
but
you.
but then share in a way that makes people want to come and be a part of your tribe. Because again, tribes grow because everybody wants to be a part of a community.
Yeah, they want to belong.
Mhm. They want to belong. Um, so
Goodness, I didn't intend for you to have to pour out all your stuff, but thank you.
no, I think it really goes along with, um, you know, it's number two here in that thing. I don't right above the conforming to social norms. That's what we were kind of talking about. Um,
Right.
is people really, they kind of do what the masses do.
Right.
Um, and so
Yes.
what I'm saying is create your own mass.
Right.
There always has to be somebody who starts it. Am I right? All of it,
Right.
there are not all of a sudden 50 people out protesting in front of a certain building at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. One person decided
Yes.
that we're going to protest at 1 o'clock on Tuesday in front of the Nashville Capitol, right? One person.
Right.
Somebody's got to start
So why not be us?
all day long.
Got that. Thank you.
And, next he talks about imitating the powerful. Let's see. Hey, Abby, you got anything to share? Welcome. She might be working.
Oh, hey, I thought I was muted. I was trying to unmute myself. I got home. Picked the kid up from school early because they got out today early. And then I started working and I totally lost track of time. And I looked at it, I was like, oh my goodness.
That's
So
okay.
I'm here. I'm listening.
We are right in the middle of chapter 9, I think. Is that chapter 9 is where we were. And you didn't miss anything in chapter 8. I told Gina I totally ruined that for everybody because since day 1, I've been telling you guys to stack your habits together to do something you like with something you don't like, which is what that whole chapter is about.
The only thing that I would add to it that I thought really stuck out to me on that is where he says it's the anticipation of a reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take action, which that was kind of a thought provoker for me, because I always thought that, you're trying to get to the reward, and once you get the reward, then you'll be happy. But he equates it to like as you're a kid and you're waiting for Christmas, and it's not actually the morning of, it's the anticipation. And I don't know why that just really resonated with me whenever he said that.
1,000,000%. We talked about that. I told Gina, like, when I open my freezer and there's Baskin Robbins ice cream, I am so stinking excited. Way more excited than I am when I have finished a quart of ice cream, right? It's that, when our phone dings and it's a text message, it's that we're like, oh, good. And then we might open it and it might be a horrible text. But no matter what, that cue, we have a hit of dopamine. And then depending on what happens, it either sometimes goes up and sometimes go down, but the cue always, it's that anticipation.
It is.
Do you ever have a time when you're working and you're like, you send out 10, 20 messages and then things start popping, like you see your messenger pop up that you got a message and you're like, oh. And then sometimes you read it and you're like,
oh, it's not what I was, yeah.
Oh, and because we're really trained in this industry that people are either going to say yes or give me more information or ghost us. It's the
Right.
brave people who say no thank you. And I will tell you, every time somebody sends me a no thank you, I always immediately respond to them, thank you so much for getting back to me, because it means the world to me when somebody can be honest. Like, I never ever don't respond to somebody saying no. Sometimes it leads into more questions, but sometimes it's just a thank you so much for taking the time to get back to me. So, but again, we really are cued to, like, people are going to respond in a positive way or not respond to us at all. So anytime we see a messenger pop up, we're like, oh, this is going to be good.
Quart of Baskin Robbins ice cream in the freezer.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Chapter 10, how to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. You guys have any thoughts from this chapter to start with?
We're on chapter 10, you said?
Uh-huh.
Get to that one.
On page 126, it's in the next to the bottom paragraph. This was huge for me. Emotional eating. I don't smoke, but I emotional eat. And his comment was, you're losing nothing and you're making marvelous positive gains, not only in health, energy, and money, but also in confidence, self-respect, freedom, and most important of all, in the length and quality of your future life.
Mm-hmm.
And he put, it was so huge, he put a negative spin on whatever you're thinking that you really need from smoking. All of those advantages are nothing but health issues. And he put it in that respect, and he said, you're not getting what you think you are.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a ghost. He didn't say ghost, but
yeah,
there's
and
another word for it, and it'll come.
Very, very similar to overeating or eating unhealthy. you know, like as I'm trying to choosing not to eat sugar. I think I started, I don't know, like 15 days ago, maybe choosing not to eat sugar. And so, and I've done it except for 2 days ago, I had some, you know, had some cookie dough. And the next morning I was like, oh. And the only thing that came with it is like, I felt bad about myself the next day because I broke my commitment to myself, even though I want something sweet every night or want cookie dough or want ice cream.
Right.
Whenever I don't, I wake up the next morning and I feel so much better that I was like, didn't cave to that craving. Because again, if I think about it, like it's really just the idea of like having it. I don't feel any better after I eat the ice cream. I just feel excited, like I just want it.
It's a
Right?
reward.
It is a reward for, and typically, I'm not going to lie, if I'm eating ice cream, I am rewarding myself for having a crap day. I don't ever
That's
go
true.
buy ice cream when I'm having a great day.
Mm-mm.
It's like, oh, better get ice
That's
cream.
exactly what it is.
And so I'm like, why would I reward myself for being in a foul mood or having a bad day? I should
It
not
does
get
make you feel better.
it makes for a second. Watch Real Housewives and eat ice cream. Um, but he talks about basically the cues. Like, for example, the cue is you notice that the stove is hot. The prediction is if I touch it, I'll get burned. So I should avoid touching it. Or the cue, you see that the traffic light turned green. If I step on the gas, I'll make it safely through the intersection and get closer to my destination. So I should step on the gas. But, you know, then he says, you see a cue, categorize it based on past experience and determine the appropriate response. This all happens in an instant, but it plays a crucial role in your habits because every action is preceded by a prediction. Life feels reactive, but it is actually predictive. All day long, you're making your best guess of how to act given what you've just seen and what has worked for you in the past. You are endlessly predicting what will happen in the next moment. Here's what I know with certainty. If I don't message anybody about Plexus for the week, nobody responds to me about Plexus, right? I also know based on 9 years of experience that my ratio is about 1 to 10. So I know that if I want to sign 7 people this month, I probably need to reach out to about 70 people. Sometimes it's higher, but on average, I get 1 yes for every 10 messages I send. So because I know I want to sign 7 people this month, I know I need to send 70 messages at the beginning of the month because we also know sometimes it takes them a few weeks to say yes. Some people say yes right away, they don't, but it's predictive. Like I'm not just chasing my tail randomly, like, oh, I'm going to message some people. I'm like, no, I need to message 70 people.
Right.
So a few paragraph, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs down, starts with desire. And he says, desire is the difference between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. So I really want to be in the Dominican Republic in February. Like to me, like that to me is like plain as day. Right now, I am in Nashville. It's great, but in February, I really want to be on a plane headed to the Dominican Republic, sitting on the beach. So even the tiniest action is tinged with the motivation to feel differently than you do in the moment. I know I feel amazing when I sit on the beach or go to the beach or go on vacation with my husband. I love it so much. So it is 100% worth it for me to get uncomfortable to do that. He says, when you binge eat or light up or browse social media, what you really want is not a potato chip or a cigarette or a bunch of likes. What you really want is to feel different.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I
Yes.
think ice cream is going to make me feel better. It doesn't. It puts me in an ice cream coma and then I go to bed. That's all. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, okay, let's go again.
I was gonna say, let's repeat.
Yeah. I ate all the ice cream, so there's nothing to eat tonight. Can't mess up tonight, right?
And don't go to the store and buy it.
Right? And don't go by anymore. So, how to reprogram your brain to enjoy hard habits. So, he says, now imagine changing just one word. You don't have to, you get to. And we've had other speakers and authors talk to us about
Yes,
this,
yes.
but I think it's really it's key. I was recently yesterday talking to my husband. I don't remember what he said, but I just changed one word. Also, being married to a life coach might be hell for some people. I think sometimes he hates it and sometimes he's okay with it. Mostly I drive him bananas. But he said something and then I just changed one word. And I was like, see how different that feels? Like one word. You know, when talking, I talked about him predicting the future as if his crystal ball works,
Yes.
So I'm like, changing this one word allows what might happen to feel so much better. And so that is like, you get to wake up early for work, kind of
Mhm.
instead of I have to wake up early for work, I get to wake up. And that could be like, I get to message people. There are people that are
Right.
so sick or so whatever that they couldn't. I tell people all the time that, I went gold while I was still nonverbal. If somebody had called me to have a conversation with me about Plexus, I could not have had a
Wow.
conversation with them. It was only through typing, and my messages would take forever for me to type because my brain worked so slowly. But I got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It
did
was,
regardless.
I did it and it was great and it's been wonderful. But he talks about many people associate exercise with being a challenging task that drains energy and wears you down. You can just as easily view it as a way to develop skills and build you up. Instead of telling yourself, I need to go run in the morning, say it's time to build endurance and get fast.
Right. I like that
Or,
word.
I get to go run. I think once somebody has had any kind of health injury or surgery or what, that takes it off the table, right? Like I've had so many times in my life that takes exercise off the table completely that
Right.
to me, I'm just, even if it's hard to get in the habit of going, I still go. I maybe just might not be working out at the intensity I would like to, right? My 3-mile jog has maybe turned into walking the dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, for sure, I'm not burning
Right.
as many calories, but I am always wanting to
You're
move
doing something. Yes,
my body. And I think some people take that for granted.
we
But
do, because I never thought about putting it that way in respect to no, somebody cannot do it. They don't have the physical ability.
yes,
And I guess I'm a little self-centered. I hadn't thought about that. But
well,
that's very true. That's
you
a
don't really think
huge.
about it until it's happened to you, right? You just don't until you're like, oh, I can't actually get out of this recliner. I can't, there are people who can't go to the bathroom by themselves. Like, we're talking some extreme cases, but when you
But
can't,
that's reality, be it extreme or not.
yes, yes. So kind of switching that and being excited about being able to do things. Finance, saving money is often associated with sacrifice. However, you can associate it with freedom rather than limitation if you realize one simple truth. Living below your current means increases your future means. The money you save this month increases your purchasing power next month. This again can be shifting words. When I was getting my life coach certification, one of the big things we worked on was my money blocks and issues I had with money. And if you ever want to hear it, she interviewed me for her podcast and we talked all about how I was able to change a lot.
Ooh, I'd love to hear it.
I'll send it to you. It's really fascinating. But what we realized, what we uncovered is the word save. You know, my husband, me wanting the best for our family and for our future, would say, we need to save. You got to stop spending so that we can save more. To me, that felt like a father telling me I can't have something
Right,
that I want, right? Like,
right.
work, I have the money, I'm not charging it. Like, let me buy what I want. No, we need to save. And so I would often, always rebel. Like, just the word save would cause me to go to Target, right? Like, you need to stop spending money. We got to save. And I'd be like, watch me on my map go straight to Target and buy pillow pumpkins that nobody needs, right?
Right.
And so once we uncovered that that word was a trigger for me, we changed it to um, building abundant wealth. And
Okay.
that felt good to me. Like, everybody doesn't have this situation, but what I'm trying to express is how a change of words, if you can recognize what words trigger you to cause
Yes.
you to do the opposite of what you want.
Yes.
Now, I
Yes.
have a huge desire to build abundant wealth. I have a huge desire. Like, I have this idea in my head that one day one of my kids is going to come to me with this brilliant business idea, and he's going to need startup money. And I want to be able to give it to them. Could I do that today? No. I mean, I'm working my ass off trying to pay for part of a wedding, right? Like, let's not joke, but that feels better to me. Build abundant wealth so that I can buy acres with a big home so that all of my grandkids can come. That feels good to me.
Yes.
Saving and stop spending just pisses me off. But do you see how once you recognize those kind of triggers, you can
Mhm.
completely change the words to something that feels good to you? And does that make sense? Have you,
Well, it makes perfect sense. I can definitely identify with that. Definitely.
yeah. And so and that's really what he talks about is kind of that mindset, the changing of words. You know, if you change the words, we've talked about this in other trainings, but when it comes to reaching out to people, some people have the thought, and I've heard it 400 million times, is, well, I don't want to bother my friends. But what
Mhm.
if you change the thought to, I can't wait to help my friends feel better?
Whole new world.
It's only words. And the result is you either reach out or you don't. And even if you reach out on both instances, your tone and your words that you use when reaching out are different.
Mm-hmm.
If in your mind you're thinking, I don't want to bother my friends, your message is probably going to be something like, no pressure, but if you're interested, I'd like to
Right.
share if you ever have time. You know, if your thought is, I can't wait to help my friend feel better, your message is like, girl, we've got to chat because this stuff is helping me so much with XYZ. Or, girl, I know you struggle with X, and I just saw this testimony somebody shared where she struggled with that also. Can I share that testimony with you? I am so excited that this might be able to help you also. You feel the difference in those messaging?
It's all in semantics.
It
Period.
is, but
Completely.
it starts with what your thought is about the message you're sending.
Yes.
I
Yes.
used to always start my messages with no pressure, but, or no rush to get back with me after I ended. And I don't remember who trained that out of me, but they were like, stop telling people no pressure. Now they think they've got like 2 years to get back to you. No, you
Right.
want this right now. You
Right.
need this right now. Like, yes, pressure, because you have migraines. And if you would like to be rid of them by Thanksgiving, you need to order right now.
Right.
That
I've
is
got
me
what you need.
really wanting to help a friend who just posted about being in bed with migraines again. as opposed to no pressure, but I have something that might help you. I think it's helped some other people. Like, no,
Hmm, that's
girl,
not the confidence they're looking for or need.
yes. And but it's just words, right? But
Mhm,
it has to start with your thoughts.
it
If
does.
you ever are worried about bothering them, you know what you're probably going to do? Bother them.
Uh-huh. That's how it works.
It is. Mindset is a powerful, powerful,
Mhm. Yes, our minds are so very powerful.
yes. Any other thoughts on this chapter?
Uh,
Um, I like in the chapter summary, he talks about highlighting the benefits of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. That's kind of that smoking scenario. Like if you have bad habits that you want to get rid of, I really like that idea of like writing the habit down and then writing all the not good things about it.
Right.
I really want to do the things on the last couple pages as far as creating your good habit, the cheat sheet and building those habits. Actually put pen to paper. It's good to read all this, but I need to actually, and I spent some time and I sent it to y'all before, but I really need to spend some time thinking about what my habits are and what are the ones that I want to change. And I'm saying this as I'm laying in bed working, which I told y'all the last time. I need to do it at my desk so I can be more productive. But I'm so go, go, go. I just want to be comfortable. And so I just need to break those habits. And I think of them in the moment, but I don't do anything like what he talks about in that chapter to frame it. What did he say? It was, now I'm drawing a blank on it, along the lines of you have to change the association with it. So I think maybe subconsciously I have a not so great association with going up to my desk and working from there. And for whatever reason, being in my bed is a little bit of a happier habit or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, so I like how he gave actual examples, like with the exercise, the finance, the meditation, because sometimes it's easier for me if I have an example to start with versus starting from scratch, if that makes sense.
for sure.
Mhm.
Um, give me a minute. I'm going to share. So, Abby, you talked about like, because you did write your thing and you sent it in. I did mine also. Let me show you what my second step was, which might be helpful to you. Hold on. So, in my thing, I wrote like certain things because, we started with like what kind of person we want to be
Mm-hmm.
or known for, whatever. And then what do we need to do those things and certain habits. So, this is on my refrigerator. And so I took each of the
Oh,
things that I
yeah.
needed to do. And then each day, so right here, and I can send you guys this, but right here is the habit that I want. So and then each time you do that, you fill this out. And I'm a few days behind, but it's on my refrigerator. So you can't not see it. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, here are the habits that I want to do most every day. And then if I see a gap where I haven't done them, I'm like, ooh, girl. So the winning day, for IPA,
Mm-hmm.
scriptures, 10 pages of nonfiction, 1 gallon of water, workout, fruits and vegetables. I'm trying to eat, don't laugh, but 2 fruits and vegetables a day. It'll grow. Maybe next month it's 3, but I got to start somewhere. So 2 fruits and vegetables, no fried food, no pasta, no sugar. So those are my goals for this month, the things I want to work on every day. And then as I do them that day or don't do them, like I didn't have any sugar, then I fill that out and you start to see it kind of fill up, or you see things lacking and it's a visual reminder of the habits you wrote down that you wanted to have or the steps you needed to be able to get to where you wanted. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think putting it in some place where I'm going to see it every day. And I think that's one of the habits I need to create is how am I going to follow up with my goals on a daily basis? How am I going to do things like that? And so is it seeing it on my refrigerator going to be the thing that's going to make me continue to keep track with my habits? I tend to overcomplicate things and I tend to overthink things instead of just saying, let's just try this for a week. Let's just print it out, see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, let's start over. Or let's
Yeah.
reevaluate.
And one of the things that I learned in coaching people is it's very, very common for people to overcomplicate things, but then the result typically is paralysis.
Yes.
Because it's so complicated, you
Kind of
tend to
where I'm
not
at.
take action. And
That's
so
one.
that's why this, where the entire action is filling in okay, I'm done.
Hmm.
I'm not journaling about it. I'm not doing, like, literally, if I walk up and I'm like, oh, I've already finished that. You know, in my smoothie, I put strawberries and bananas, fruits and vegetables. Like it's so quick and it's so easy. And I think that is why it works. There's nothing complicated. Most complicated thing about this is deciding what things you want to try to get done every day. And it could be making the bed, right? Everybody's is different based
Mhm.
on who you're trying to be. But every time you do it, and there is a beautiful dopamine hit when I fill in a square.
That's a lot of hits.
Well, there's, yes,
Fabulous.
yeah. So, but something else might work for you. That's just something that for me, it keeps me focused. Because how many times do you walk to the refrigerator or
Right.
buy it? You know, in my refrigerator, the front of my refrigerator is not covered with a gazillion pictures and stuff. Like, it's so funny, that bothers my husband. Like when it used to be covered with a million things. So things are only on the side of the fridge, but not on the front, except for this. So it's not as if it blends
It
into
works.
400 pictures.
Right.
If this was on my mom's refrigerator, you would never see it. You would just see the pictures of the grandkids. You would not notice this. But so any other kind of thoughts, questions? Do you guys feel like you're starting to at least notice a shift in habits, or notice how critical habits are and
Right.
can be to you making huge, like small shifts can turn into really huge
Right.
changes.
At the end, it is big.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I just want the podcast that you and your
I'll send it to
instructor
you. We
had.
talk about the different things that she made me do to like break my spending habits.
Oh,
And
I knew that.
yeah, some of it was a real pain in the ass, but it all
Uh-huh.
worked.
Most learning is.
Yes. I didn't like it at all. I would rather just be, but I don't really want to be broke. Like, my
No.
husband always says, he goes, we do not have an income problem. We have a spending problem, and he is not wrong. So we're working on it.
Good.
Working on it. I have come a long way. I think he would be happy to share.
Well, good.
You know, 50 for heaven's sakes. I'm running out of time to become abundantly wealthy. I mean, I got time, but I would rather
Right. But you
speed up
want
this
to make
process.
hay while the sun shines.
Yes. Yes.
Well, anyway, I'd like to hear it.
Okay, I'll send it to you. All right, you
Okay.
guys. Thank
Please.
you for jumping on, and I will see you
Thank
next
you.
week. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.